We begin with the Torah service. We continue with the Torah service on page 23. And we are going to say the blessings before, and I am going to give my sermon, and we're going to say the blessings after, and I just moved the shender. That was alarming. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach.
Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Okay, so here's the quiz. Does anyone remember what we talked about last week?
Yes.
Cohen, go ahead.
Well, we talked about, I don't remember. No, it's like the benefits of selling the problem versus selling the solution.
Okay, absolutely. But why in the heck were we talking about that? Linda?
It was, we were looking at the Exodus from the point of view of organizational psychology.
Organizational psychology, that's so weird. Why would anybody do that?
I know, it was weird for me too. But I loved it because it all of a sudden made sense that because Moses didn't think about how the Israelites would react to liberation. He just thought they'd all be all joyous, but he didn't think about what they were leaving behind and what their fears were and what obstacles there were and work to overcome those and address them. And
Exactly.
then everybody moaned and cried and complained.
I love it when people repeat back to me exactly what I said with the point attached. So thank you for my plant in the audience, the congregation. Linda, I will pay you afterwards. What I realized in reviewing the story of the Exodus again and again, as we do several times a year, but as we do again at this time of year, I was trying to figure out exactly when the Israelites were told that God had come through Moses to save them. And I was looking for the moment where that communication was given. And I searched for it, and I searched for it in vain. And it didn't happen. So the way that they found out that this was happening, I mean, Aaron knew, his brother, and the elders knew, right? Aaron and Moses, explained what God was going to do to the elders, and the elders said, let it be so. And then immediately Moses and Aaron go to the Pharaoh, and the plagues start happening. So the first thing that happens are these plagues, and the Israelites say, what have you done to us? We were fine. And now there are these plagues happening, and Pharaoh is punishing us. He's making us not only put the bricks, build the bricks, but he's making us find the stuff to put in the bricks, and we have to make it, and we have to make the same number of bricks. They're very upset, okay, because he's increased the amount of work that they have. So it's not until much, much later that God says to the Israelite people, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt with an outstretched hand and an open arm. So I'm wondering, because I'm on this organizational psychology kick, what Moses could have done to explain it before it happened and how that would work. So what we also talked about last week is the fact that from our point of view, slavery is bad, right? And from the slave's point of view in Egypt, slavery was probably bad. But if you actually read the text, nowhere do the Israelites cry out, oh Lord, please save us from slavery. Right? I was like, I'm sure it's there. I'm sure, flip. I'm sure it's there. It's not there. They moan. They cry out to God. Right? They cry out to God. But they don't have an express request. They're just miserable. Okay? And they want to be not miserable. And we went through this whole list yesterday, which I thought was last week, which was very complete, about all the things that they legitimately were leaving behind: security, familiarity, their neighborhoods, the way that their lives were structured. But in this day and age, so what? If they were slaves, they're not slaves, they should be happy, and why are they grumbling all the time? So what I want to do, and this may sound a little bit odd, but I want to sell the problem of slavery to the slaves. Okay, so they've grown up for 400 years, and they've lived in a society where they are slaves. And yes, they're not a fan, but how would you explain to a group of people who had been slaves for 400 years that it would be better to go off into this unknown future, try something completely different, and just see how that worked? So what would your pitch be? We're gonna do it. I got the button. I got the thing out. Oh yeah, and you gotta like turn the camera
Oh, yeah.
so I can wave it. Okay.
You would
I was doing
basically,
Okay. So Stephen says,
you would to your taskmasters bring plagues upon them to show how strong your God is, and your own people, the Israelites, would see how strong your God is. And so you're putting the fear of God not just into Pharaoh, you're putting the fear of God into the Israelites.
okay, so that's what happened.
Right, but that's how you do it.
Right, okay, he likes the way the Torah is written, that's fine, we've gotta have at least one, okay? Thank you, Stephen. We're gonna go for the other way, we're gonna rewrite the Torah, rewrite the history, because that's, what we do here.
This is a pitch to leave, right?
This is a pitch to leave, yes.
I just have to simple, like, who's
Self-slavery.
ready to leave your comfortable hell for an uncomfortable heaven?
Oh, I like, that's a good slogan. Okay, leave comfortable hell for, what was it?
An uncomfortable heaven.
An uncomfortable.
Now, how does that sell it?
Who's going to heaven?
Yeah, okay, you're the salesman, Brad,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what are the bullet points of that?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah, I'm just.
the point really is that their lives are not under their own control,
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
and that
your lives are not under your control.
The point is, look at the Egyptians, what they've got and you don't got.
exactly.
Wealth,
There we go.
Okay, look at what you're missing, guys,
yeah,
right, okay.
Well, they have the
Oh, we're doing a real
freedom
sales pitch, okay.
to do what they want to do, not what they're told to do.
Look at what you're, well, sort of, I mean, they can't do,
Yeah.
God's
to-
really demanding.
There's always limitations,
Right.
but that is the essence of it.
Okay, so look what you're missing, the Egyptians have, what, some sort of agency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a level of abstraction,
well,
and I think the way to sell it is gonna be details. So what you have, there's a guy named Joe Benenson who ran most of the campaigns for Obama and for Hillary. He
Okay.
says the campaigns are always about the future. So what you have to do is give people a vision of what it would be like to be free. What does it mean to wake up in the morning and not have a taskmaster who tells you what to do? What is it like to be able to turn to your family and spend as much time with your family as you would like? What does it mean to be able to decide for yourself when you're going to work and when you're not going to work, and when you're going to find your friends and when you're going to be alone? What would it mean to imagine a life that was actually a life under your own control?
It's a good sales pitch.
Wow.
You poke at
Yeah,
the bad
Because
thing
they've
and
never
provide a
had it,
solution.
it's hard for them to imagine it. So
Right.
you have to spell it out for
but
them.
they,
Yeah.
so they can see it all
Colin,
around them.
Yes,
Colin.
Yeah,
right,
the
Joe.
Egyptians didn't have much anyway, but, because
I didn't
remember
hear.
Joseph took away all their property and all that stuff?
Yeah, they got it back over 400
You
years.
sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the
But-
Pharaoh had
but,
it.
okay, so, the other thing is, would you like a day off? You know, like.
How about a sick day?
Would
You want a
you like,
sick day?
like you gotta get really specific here, like,
Okay.
Yeah.
no more bricks without mortar, like
Okay,
whatever.
day off,
A farm of your own,
Yeah.
a house of your own.
house of your own, okay, house of your own.
Property.
They actually had
Car in every
houses.
garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did have houses.
They had
Yeah.
houses that they lived in. That's
But
why
they
they
weren't
put the lamb's
theirs.
blood over
It
the
wasn't
doorframe.
theirs.
Yeah,
It was in essence because they lived in it. It
and
was
nobody
theirs.
else.
Well,
Okay,
Okay.
Linda,
So
Linda.
I just, what Cohen said and somebody else said was analogous to me of a union organizer encouraging workers to strike,
Okay,
because that's scary, right? You're going
Sure.
on strike, you're not gonna get any money, you don't know what the future is gonna hold. But if you double down on what the reality of the present is, I mean, they're slaves. People are getting killed. People are getting tortured. People are getting worked to death. people are dying before their time.
Families.
So imagine that your kids might live past 20.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine that you could feel convinced that no one would whip your child to death. Go ahead, Howard.
Well, you're assuming that they're living there and not happy but not sad. However.
Oh, I'm assuming nothing. I'm just
all right,
painting a
well,
picture.
However, all male offspring were being killed.
Yeah.
That's not something that you sort of say, oh, okay, I can live with.
Right. Except for they do.
Well,
I mean, they
I
have
mean,
to.
But they don't see an alternative.
Yeah.
you
but
have
certainly you
control.
could say, hey, well, you know, these people are killing all male offspring. You stop that if you leave.
Yeah, if you can. Yeah, okay. Okay.
I'm thinking of the Edward G. Robinson character, and you have control over your own body, particularly women. In a non-slave society would have greater control over their own body and make choices about it. And I
I'm just
suspect,
reviewing all of Genesis in my head, and it didn't.
That would work for today.
No, he's
Yeah,
I'm talking
working
about
on
today.
film noir.
yeah, it works
He's not working
on the
on
movie
Genesis.
version.
Charlton Heston.
Edward G. Robinson takes.
We're
the-
watching that, so we
Great
go
movie.
for, okay, we're gonna
So-
take one more thing from Conan and we'll
Just
wrap
a
it up.
point
wrap it
of
up.
view is before the Torah, before there was a Bible,
Uh-huh.
there was no such thing as a future for people. People believed that everything was in a circle, that they would never get out of slavery, they would never get out of their situation. So to sell the idea of a future is a very unique concept.
Well, to be fair, this is anachronistic, like impossibly
Yeah.
anachronistic, right? Because
Okay.
our sense of individuality and democracy
Yes.
is completely
Yes.
foreign to anyone during that time.
Yes.
I'm just thinking about, and I think you hit it on the head, Richard, of course, is that you have to explain exactly what the future is going to look like and how it is going to be better.
Yes.
When you get up and work in the fields, you eat that wheat. The bread that you make from that wheat, you eat. And you can eat as much of it as you want to be full.
And I'm gonna take you to a land of milk and honey.
Where it's going to be even better things to eat.
Yeah.
Your kids aren't getting killed.
And there
Yeah.
won't be anyone, and you'll have this protector that will be over you always,
Yes.
that is not going to let terrible things happen to you,
Except for the 40 years.
except for all the
Except he did.
terrible things that happen.
And of course, a lot of that was a
Until he
lie.
punishes you.
Yeah.
Until he punishes you for other things that you
Because if
can't
you're
control.
part of
This is
society,
not a
you're going
perfect
to have to
conversation,
control.
okay? But Eve, did you want to say something before you
No,
look?
I just, in working different jobs here, I've heard some people say to me, you know, like a regular, you know, this job is like slavery. They would use that metaphor. Especially if their family was from a background that was more recently in that thing.
Mhm.
So they would say, oh, you know, this job is like slavery. Or you would hear.
Slave labor,
nowadays you
yeah.
see, a CEO now makes 24 times what his worker does, and in the 60s it was twice or 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's not that different from this story. But I was seeing a quote here from the Torah section that says, anyone who kidnaps someone and sells him.
Yeah, we're not going to actually get into the laws that are in this particular parsha, because it's a lot about how
Oh,
Jews
sorry.
had slaves,
No, I'm
and
just
we're
saying-
not going to go there today.
I'm just saying it applies to our situation, because
Oh, yeah.
anyone kidnaps someone and puts in slavery, he shall be put to death.
Yes, that is a completely different Gevar Torah.
And
This one, I wanted you guys to play out. If you are trying to make a change and you know it is for the better, how can you make sure that the people you are caring about are hearing the problem that you see? And how can you bring everybody aboard? And I think we figured it out a lot better than Moses and God, so kudos to us. Let us complete the prayer over the end of the Torah portion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.